Hello, my name is David Edujemfi, and I would like to talk to you about how my reflection and my assessment for my internship was about. Before we went home, I had to survey around to find a place for my internship. So I had to contact a friend who was also a senior in my department, graphic design department, who was good in photography and videography. We call him Kofi Graphics. So along the line, I had to call a friend to get his number. So I got his number and I called him on phone and I explained myself and I told him that I want him to help me to find a place to do my internship. And he told me to call him the next day, so I did. And lucky for me, he was having a studio in Kumasi, which was where I wanted to do my internship. So he gave me a friend who is a director in his studio, and I had to reach him and he accepted me. So the next day I had to go back to Kumasi to start my internship. And my internship started middle of the month in January. So as I got there, they accepted me and they asked me if I've used a camera before. And I told them, for me, it's theory that I know, but with the practical aspects, I've never used a camera to take a photo before. So they gave me their camera and they told me to tell them things that I know about camera. And I told them photography, when you talk about photography, it entails science and art, and which is what everybody knows. So after I explained myself, they gave me a camera to do a camera settings using the camera exposure to take a shot of any scene that I want, which was my first shot that I did. So I used the aperture with the f number. I know that with the aperture, the smaller the number, the wider the lens, and with the shutter speed, the lower the number, the more you are able to capture a standing object. But when the shutter speed has a higher number, you are able to capture a moving object like car. You are able to capture it without it moving. And the ISO is used for light. When you want more light to enter into the camera or less, that's the settings you have to do. And it ranges from 100, 200, 400 to the last number you want to use. So I went out and used the camera. I did my camera settings and took a scene of a marketplace, and the marketplace was having cars moving around, and that was the scene I actually wanted. So I was able to take a nice scene, and that was my first time. It was really nice. I didn't even expect that I can even do a settings to get an accurate picture of how I wanted it to be. And they thought I was very good because of the scene I gave them with the camera settings. But meanwhile, that was my first time, because I remember level 200, Dr. Suman taught us photography and how to do settings on the camera, but I didn't get a privilege to get my own camera to do my settings and take pictures of them. So that was where my internship life started. And after the settings that I made, they told me to get commissions for them, because the work itself, we need a lot of models and customers, so we needed more programs to enhance my skills. So I had a model instead. I had one model that I had to contact. Then she didn't even pay because it was of my own interest. So I paid for the fare and everything. Then we called her into the studio and I used her for rehearsals and practice. So I was using her in my works. So actually, most of my works that I did for the first time was her. So all the pictures you are seeing on my are photos of her for the first time. And with the retouching, I was able to do it because I knew we had more techniques. And after I was able to take some pictures, the director took me through something we call lightning. And the lightning, I remember I jot some notes down because that lightning steps he gave me, most photographers do not know how to go about it, especially when you are taking picture and someone is having a white top and the person wants it with a white background. You see, it doesn't match it, so you must work with lightning. And yeah, some importance of lightning we all need to know. Light is the essential ingredients of photos. That one we don't even know. Many people do not know, sorry. And one of the skills that separate photographers from snap shooters is the ability to solve lighting problems. These are two primary factors to consider for light directions and color. So I start, the light direction is the light that comes from. Okay, so after I was done with the lady taking shots and also um, doing my camera settings and everything, I was exposed to lightning. And my director told me, his name is Otis, he told me with lightning, many photographers have difficulties with lightning, especially when you are taking a photo of somebody who is wearing a white top like what I'm wearing and with a white background. You see, you'll be having difficulties with the person with the shirt and the white background. So he taught me that the direction of the light that comes from the image can seem flat or can be having a three-dimensional. I was exposed to lightning and at that one too, I didn't have any idea with the lighting aspect. So my director, who is named Otis, told me a lot of photographers have issues with lightning because sometimes some people can have someone taking a shoot with a white dress and that photographer will be using a white background and we hardly differentiate between the background and the person with the white dress. So that's where the lightning comes in. And sometimes too, when it comes to the lighting, one thing you all need to know is environment changes always because you can be having a lightning with an ISO with 300 and there will be no light around. So how are you going to do that? That's where the depth of field comes in. So one advice I would give to everybody who is a photographer or who is yet to be a photographer, I like to tell you that try and use more filters when it comes to lighting. And the software we were using for our works was mainly Photoshop. And sometimes we use the AI for the logos and other stuff. For two-dimensional works, we use logo, but mostly for our photo enhance and everything, we use the Photoshop for our works. And one thing I learned so far was when it comes to photography, you must be focused on whatever you are working with. Because when you don't get your focus well, it gives you much blurriness in your work. And I also learned that right after using the camera, you must close the camera and put it in the camera bag because it can fall at any time. And the people I was working with was so nice. And sometimes one thing I've noticed is if you open up to people, there are more links and exposures for you to win big. So I didn't know most of them, but time to time we knew each other and we were learning from each other. And things I didn't like during my internship was the strictness was too much and you are not given the chance to exhibit your talents and sometimes you are under rules and you are not feeling what you are supposed to do. Like sometimes you be like this, if you were to do it in this way to be better, then the director will be like, no, we are working under this. And he once told me all our works shouldn't be bright, and me too, I like bright colors. So like I wasn't buying it because I'm also an artist too, and my motive someday is to combine art and photography together, like combining painting and real photography photo together. So that was my motive, and that was the main reason why my internship I chose photography, and it has helped me a lot. And these are some of my works on my PowerPoint that you can see on the screen. And this one we had a commission, so I had to go in to speak to a manager at Old Ladies at Denyami Kumasi, and we went around to take a shot of some people around there. And the rest of my works were models that came around, then we took them. Okay.